What's up, everybody? It is Friday. I'm back. Got my coffee as always, and today I am covering a song that I have seen the thumbnail of so many times, and I've always kind of just like, but I'm gonna do it, and then at least it will stop being recommended to me. And we might like it. Who knows? The song is called "Hex So Heavy." The artist is BAMBIE Thug. I will warn you based on the thumbnail that there could be some body horror and let's say disturbing images. This seems to be going for a shocking sort of video. So just be warned. If you're not into that sort of thing, you might want to just pass on this one. But before we get into it, a couple things as always. Please remember I'm not a professional. I'm not a vocal coach or anything. So just don't expect me to be drilling into details too aggressively. And don't be a dick. I try to be thoughtful when I do these. Whether or not I like a song, I try to at least find something to be positive about. So I would just ask that we could try to keep the comments respectful. With that out of the way, let's get into it. This is BAMBIE Thug with Hex So Heavy. It's good coffee. Someone's been playing Shadow of Mordor. I like her grill.
Someone teach this bitch to dance. Teach that bitch to serve. Where'd you get that fucking nerve? You're the dirt, maggot bitch. I'm from another planet. I'm that worm up in your brain. Call me by my fucking name. You're the ash on the flame. Call me by my fucking name. Coming in with a hex so heavy. A cursed cast, watch a witch get petty. You're a blood clot, cut you clean, confetti. I'm a machine, mosquito, machete. Coming in with a hex so heavy. A cursed cast, watch a witch get petty. Laser sight, yeah, I aim it steady. I'm a machine, mosquito, machete. Why you so upset to me? Acting like you came up with the motherfucking recipe. Bottom bitch committed treason. Wasted oxygen you're breathing. Out of date when I'm in season. Haunt you till your heart stop beating. Y'all heard it, bitch, you tryna get in my way. Telling people not to work with them. Me thug you the plague. Pretty funny how they all still fucking eating me up. I got revenge on my tongue and I got some diss in my cup. I got bruises on my mind, but that ain't taking no toll on me. I know I'm on your mind with all the shit that you stole from me. Snakes say what you like, but you don't even know me. I'm the muse that you use, pickpocket you owe me. Coming in with a hex so heavy. A cursed cast, watch a witch get petty. You're a blood clot, cut you clean, confetti. I'm a machine, mosquito, machete. Coming in with a hex so heavy. A cursed cast, watch a witch get petty. Laser sight, yeah, I aim it steady. I'm a machine, mosquito, machete. Coming in with a hex so heavy. Coming in with a hex so heavy. Coming in with a hex so heavy. Coming in with a hex so heavy.
All right. Well, Start with the music first. What, like sort of industrial hip hop, right? I mean, you kind of got that EDM bass, a little bit of singing, but mostly spoken word. It's like I wouldn't call it rap because I don't, and I could be wrong. I don't think she would call it rap because it's not exactly right. It's more spoken word over EDM or trap beats, which is fine. It that in and of itself isn't something that bothers me. I don't mind that. The bass, I felt like it could have been mastered better. Again, like I said at the beginning, I'm not an expert on audio or mixing or anything like that, and I understand that people who do this are professionals. I'm just saying, like, when I'm listening to it, what I would like to hear is that bass sounded a little bit too fuzzy, I think. I would have liked it to be a little bit like crisper and fuller. Makes it a little bit more spooky sounding, which is clearly what the effort was on this song. Uh, yeah, disturbing imagery, right? I gotta be honest. I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up with this. I grew up as a very Christian young boy, but I've been listening to like Marilyn Manson, Ice Peak, Guar, Cradle of Filth, like Dana Dentata. You don't get the shock value. To me, really needs to be secondary. Like it's cool, it's fine if you want to be really over the top, shocking, uh, you know, weird imagery. All that stuff is fine. There's an audience for it. There's a market for it. There is a value to making people feel like they're tough or hardcore because they like what you make, right? It's too creepy for most people, but not for me. Not for because I'm kind of dark. I've like kind of twisted up here. I listen to Korn, and like so I don't say this to be disrespectful, but I do know that a lot of times people use visuals as a crutch when what's behind the visuals is not particularly noteworthy. Um, I have only listened to one song, and it's very clear that the imagery is a big part of it. I will need to listen to other Bambi Thug to get a clearer picture, but I will just tell you from where I'm sitting, it felt like the visuals were doing a lot of heavy lifting for lyrical content that was mid. Like, so if you're going to do spoken word like that, to me, there's two ways to do it. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm making no money. She's making money, right? But to me, you get sort of the 21 Pilots approach or the old Eminem approach, right? Where you're cramming in a bunch of syllables. You're talking over the beat so that you kind of fill out that space. The da 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 da, right? You keep it moving a little bit, or you go really slow, kind of like Ice Peak does this, where you will take like a whole bar and you only get a couple syllables, but it's really clipped and punchy and like aggressive and loud. This felt pretty I don't know, just boring. The lyrics were boring to me. Again, I say this with like I was hoping to like it, and I don't dislike it. It's not offensive. It just, yeah, like I guess somebody in the industry or somebody that she worked with is not appropriately treating her according to her. Okay, I got no problem with that. I think people should be treated well, and I don't think they should be ripped off or whatever. And I liked the machine, Moschino, machete. That was a good line. That was cool. Evocative, right? It really gives you a few different pictures in your brain, like right back to back to back, which is cool. But the verses, it felt tired. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the way the vocals were mixed. I said I wasn't an expert at the beginning, and I'm talking a lot about mixing now, but you gotta do something to make those vocals stand out. Because otherwise it's just a like not quite whispered, right? Not quite Yolandi Visser, not quite the D Antwoord, real creepy, super high pitched, like delicate whisper, or Ice Peak similarly. But it also wasn't like it wasn't punchy. She wasn't like clipping intensely the words. And I don't know. I feel like maybe if they had brought up the volume on the vocals in the verses, it would have been more impactful. I don't know. As far as the visuals go, look, yeah, creepy, right? Spider stuff. I was not joking about Shadow of Mordor. If you have played any of those, the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor games, the Spider Lady is a big feature. But, Black Widows, right? That's a common trope. The design was great. Clearly they had either she's a great makeup artist and she did all of her own makeup and prosthetics, or she worked with people who are good at what they do. Clearly real physical stuff, right? Real props, not just digital, which I really appreciate, especially as we get more and more into people cutting corners with AI, right? I really like to see physical work, right? So that was practical. Those effects were largely practical. Clearly they spent some money on the costuming, on the budget for this. And I appreciate that. I know I have been fairly negative for me on this. And part of it is just because it feels a little bit like it's a little bit trying to be too spooky, right? Like trying to be spooky instead of actually being spooky there's a difference. But I don't know. I could be unfairly judging it, right? I want to be clear that this is one representation of this artist. I am not going to confidently assert that they are one thing or another because I don't know. So I will probably check out more. Maybe not on the channel unless I get some requests for it. But I will go do a little homework and we'll see what we think. That's going to do it for me for today, though. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Be safe. Be good to each other. And don't talk to cops.